You are. Oh, look, I can hear you and everything. No way.
Oh, it's because I don't have a microphone near my mouth. That's
That'll do
probably
it.
why. I've got your room audio. Did you hear the song I was playing?
Nah, no button.
Oh. Oh, it's because I'm previewing it. This is the Riverside intro. They didn't pay us for this.
Wow, gross.
That's all I get.
Is that canned music in the app?
Yeah. Nothing like this,
Delightful.
though.
Oh, daddy. Oh, yeah, that still confuses me when I hear that in the edit. Like, I didn't say that. It's not me.
It's not me. It's funny because I know it's there, but maybe nobody else knows that. Maybe nobody knows that I'm.
It's funny for you.
Although
That's all that counts.
it's just funny for me. That's it. That's it. Nobody else thinks it's funny.
Good morning.
Morning.
I noticed the Riverside auto cutting struggles a little bit with all my weird noises. A little blips.
Oh,
blips
really?
and blops. Maybe.
I went through it.
Pretty good.
Maybe I just don't hear them sometimes. Like it just sounds pretty normal to me. It may also be lower quality when I'm listening back, I guess, and then when it exports, it's higher quality.
Yeah, maybe. Sounds theater, but you last week sounded pretty good.
Yeah, last
Yeah.
couple have been that. I mean, I had it. Let's see. I think the day we recorded or the day after, I had it edited and scheduled, which is a record.
That was the
I don't
day
think
of.
I've ever we've ever done that. It's just like, oh, this is so easy. I can just boop 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 boop, done.
Oh, that was awesome. Didn't do my vocal warm-ups in the kitchen this morning. Feeling mouthy.
Ow, brown cow.
I'll just mute the mic while you drink my coffee, while you entertain
Sounds
our
good.
patrons.
Here we go.
Justin's going to sing.
It really whips the llama's ass.
Perfect. Oh, my singing is like this.
Just like you.
I think that's from back when I was making music for my
I
son.
was going to say, did you make that for your kid?
It's called School of Rhymes.
That's right. Oh, dear.
Woo! So you hit inbox 0.
No, not quite. I came bloody close this week, having been a sort of inbox 100, 120 sort of guy for years, many years. I don't, because I use Gmail as my interface, I don't like it when it's more than 50 because it's more than one page, but it's almost always more than one page.
Right.
And so just this last week, bloody smashed through it. I got down to, I think when I walked out the door yesterday, there were 7 emails. And they were all pretty old ones of like, oh, that's a bit of code and a reminder to me to update my thank you thing in Shopify that they keep reminding me about. And that one's some marketing copy that I need to do something with at some point. So I was pretty happy with where I got to.
You know what I hate about that situation is you smash through. You're like, I just bashed all that email. I have nothing left. My inbox is empty. You go away from that feeling so good, and you come back, and it's like 30 new emails. And you're like, what? Because it's like everybody sends it back after you've sent them emails. No, that's not how it works. They're gone now.
Yes and no. Whenever I try to do this. No, not even when I try to do this. If the inbox is ever looking slim, I have this mixed feeling of like feeling under control, but also like, oh no. Oh, I just got balloons again. How am I getting balloons?
Yeah.
This sort of like anxiety creeps in of like, oh no, we'll never get any business ever again. The inbox is empty. People have stopped inquiring. And I've never quite worked out how to balance that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I do like the idea of being an inbox zeroer. I think Saunders is one, isn't he?
I think so. I listened to the guy that created that concept, Merlin Mann podcast, since forever ago, 20 years now. No, that's not quite right. 15 years. I listened to a bunch of his podcasts. I really enjoy his, I don't know, personal style, I guess. And so I had the aspiration for that for a long time. And then I it just never happened. And I think there's added stress that I just started to let go of. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't need to get to zero. I think I also have a thing about it being on one page where it's not like I don't scroll my email, which I don't use the Gmail app. He's currently using Spark for quite a while, which I like. But I've definitely had this overwhelming sense lately of just like, I cannot make my email go away. Like it is just kind of an unending stream. And it's like, it's a good thing, right? Like that you are getting inquiries, you're getting sales, you're getting like a lot of it's like, I need to deal with a tax thing, or like almost all of mine are like more difficult things I want to respond to or figure out, and they just sit there, and I haven't, because I have no active task management system.
Yeah.
That's where they sit. They don't go anywhere.
Which is,
So they're just all reminders.
Yeah. And I have
That piss
nothing
me off.
against using the inbox as a task management system. I've done that in some way or another for forever. I used to manage all my quotes like that. I'd just put information in the draft to myself in a client inquiry, and I'd keep it there and then accidentally delete it as I was sending the client email and then lose my notes on the job. But for a lot of things, it's fine. It's as a reminder.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. But I feel more
I think it's
in
a little
control.
Right. I think being managed is one thing. I think for me, getting to zero is kind of a fool's errand. It's like,
Sure.
Inevitably it's never going to be zero. So you're just kind of like manically trying to like make it go away. It's like, what? At some point you lose. You're always losing. And I don't like that feeling. So
that's a good distinction, actually. Maybe we should reset the goal. Inbox 10 or something.
Inbox few.
Few, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Inbox less than a page.
Yeah. Because if you're just like manically distracting yourself by trying to get it back to zero and doing, I was quite disgusted with myself going through it and finding like great leads from June last year. And admittedly, we're having a baby at the time, but still, I was like, damn it. I'd let that slip, didn't I? That would have been a nice job.
Emails in my inbox from October, which I don't love. That really kind of gets me. Ugh.
Don't look at it now.
Yeah.
Not nauseous.
Inbox, no scroll.
Stay with me. I'm sorry. It was funny timing. I was listening to the last of last week's edit as I screeched into work on the bike this morning. I was like, well, we really left people on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, they all came back though, right? I want to know what happened. Did they get hit by a bus collectively?
So two things. Do we have the hour time limit in this app? Do you know? Can you tell?
Probably not. I have no idea.
Don't know. That's okay.
It's kind of a good. I mean, like, Bomb Johns do this where they try to keep it under 45 minutes because somebody used to have a commute that was 45 minutes and would complain it was too long. You have to drive around the parking lot. So I don't know. I think maybe let us know if we're wrong, but I feel like people want more than an hour of this a week. I don't know. Maybe they do.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, on YouTube.
As we cut ourselves off, you were saying I should
Glad
make.
you remember because I don't.
You were saying I should make an agent in Sim Theory for managing Profit First stuff.
Oh yeah, I have not done that.
And then you press the button. No, I don't trust it with numbers. Maybe that's just me.
I mean, isn't that what it should be best at?
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Doesn't mean I trust it, though.
Because it's good at words. Yeah.
It's good at words. Yeah. So no.
Interesting.
I just don't know what an agent would
Yeah.
do for me specifically in that context. What were you picturing? Do you remember what you were picturing?
Well, since I don't have a Laura
Yep.
in the context of managing these things, it would be I would just, like I said, I would call it Laura, and it would help me think about conceptual changes or challenges, I guess, and maybe I can dump it more information and it can give me analysis, or if I'm trying to hit some targets and I am very static about it and I know I need to change some stuff, but my current hang up is I haven't revamped the sheet since 2024, so I haven't touched it this year yet. I mean, my distributions are automatic, so it's not necessarily a problem, other than it's just another one of my inbox zero problems where I'm like, well, it's just piling up somewhere. Like I haven't gotten to that yet. I have definitely had that feeling all this year since we had such a hot January that I'm just like endlessly behind on things. Like we had a snowstorm last week for Portland. I mean, for my Midwest sensibility, it was not a snowstorm, but it kind of shut things down here. We had sickness, people out sick. We had all kinds of stuff that also threw wrenches into it. We're probably 2 or 3 days behind what we normally would have been. So I mentally, I feel like a week behind at least. Just too many things going on, but enough complaining, I suppose.
That explains your reaction when I sent you the whiskey emoji this morning.
Well, it's more just like, oh God, that sounds terrible to wake up to, unless you've got a problem, apparently.
No, don't worry. I'm on my coffee.
Well, my other concern was that you got really whiskeyed last night, and it was going to be a crazy show.
My coffee cup's as big as your head.
It's human drink, remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, human.
Coffee's over here. Coffee is for closers.
The other thing I was going to mention last week on PF accounts and stuff was that it has, I mean, I think we've always kind of done this personally with our personal accounts, but it has, because of Laura's involvement with implementing Profit First and further improving upon it, it has definitely crept into our personal lives more and more over the last year.
Right.
To the
That's
extent
interesting.
that I was chatting to my sister, who's a lawyer. She retrained in her, I don't know, 40s or 50s. She completely retrained and became a lawyer. And she was chatting to her about it. And it was because she does family law and, deals with separations and stuff. And for some reason, the number of, we run a lot of offset accounts as part of our personal, like the business uses them too as well now. Like all the business distribution accounts are actually offset accounts that reduce the interest on our home loan. And it came up in conversation of like how many offset accounts we currently running. And Laura counted as like 22. And
oh my God.
My sister was like, you guys can never break, never split up, because the divorce lawyers would just have an absolute nightmare, like picking through all of that hot mess, trying to work out what was
You keep these
what.
11, I'll keep these 11. Oh boy. That's a lot. That is the craziest concept that we seemingly have here, but nobody uses because greed. That just like the banks don't allow it or don't offer it because why would they, Yeah. They can just make more interest money.
That's a good thing. Held offset account. It's awesome. And particularly now that we're using it in the business, just means any like $1,000 sitting in a whatever account, capital expenses account, can just have a small impact against the interest. So yeah, it's good.
It's amazing.
Check it out if you can.
I lost my notes somewhere. What happened to notes? There. Behind the other window.
No, I've been a bad boy.
Why?
I've been hanging out with Workflowy again. Don't tell Airtable or Notion. My old friend Workflowy is
didn't
back.
work. Didn't work. What
Have
is this?
buttons
Are you
to
hearing
mash.
this?
Nah, it's about Daddy.
Yeah, one of them doesn't work apparently.
Daddy came through at the end.
Put a marker there.
Shit.
I could make a lot more money on this show.
Sign up now.
Only Sans. Australian edition. Oh, so tell me about your workflowy tryst.
Just with Workflowy. I don't know. You know me. A list a day. Different list every week. No, it came off the back of... It's legit. It came off the back of assessing OPEX expenses, looking at reducing costs. I was looking at, how much we spend on Airtable every year and Notion and blah, 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 and just doing some quick back-of-the-envelope maths of like, Workflow is only $50 a year. Maybe I could just go back to the good old days where everything was managed in Workflow and it has an API key now, so surely that would be better. Blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, I'd started just doing all my personal day-to-day notes in there just out of curiosity again, and still love it. Still my favorite old system that I've kind of just forgotten. And every time I log into it, it reminds me that I've been a user for 9 years, and how many bullet points I've made in that time.
What does mine say? So it's interesting you pay for it. I do not. I've never paid for it, but I've also never used it for anything other than it's my triage. Justin's brain is way too full and nothing else seems like a good place to put this list, and I put stuff in there and it just is this repository of lists I never come back to ever. It's like I write them down once, I copy out what I need, and it just exists.
Yeah, sure. It's like a bit of paper that you file away or lose, or it's useful at the time, right? It doesn't just
disappear on its own. Yeah,
but if it serves a purpose at the time.
I was going, as you were describing this, I was thinking to say, we need to have a conversation about opportunity cost. Changing lists back and forth. And I do the same thing, but maybe it's just a good reminder of how I don't know. This was an early problem for us when I started Portland CNC. Was I tried to bring the things that I use that were successful for me into a work context with employees. And, I think we had 2 part-time people within 2 years, the first 2 years, and they just weren't, they sucked. They were terrible right away in terms of, I think we used Trello first, which was okay, but it had so many, just it was too generic. And the thing I've found over and over again is if people like using a tool or don't hate it more, they will continue using it and use it properly. And everything I tried, I can't even remember the list of it. It was 4 different apps within a year. We just kept switching back and forth of now we're using Trello. And then it was Flowy, which is literally a thing. And then something called projects. But man, I still get emails from all these different things I tried that it would be so much harder now, which is interesting. The more you do, the more you build the more projects you do, the more all those things. It's so much harder to keep switching around unless you just call it like burn all bridges. But even then, it's hard to keep switching. So it's definitely high on my mind as we're trying to make a new solution for both us and other people of like, you need to like it and it needs to be easy to switch to and then never leave. No.
Yeah. And the lock-in, baby.
You can never leave. No, it won't be like that. But
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, that we need like a I don't even know what I would call it. A refactor. I don't like my lists right now. Start over. Like, I don't know how you design a tool for that. It's pretty hard. How do you deal with divergent brains? I don't know.
Because we used to pre-Airtable, we managed our entire job workflow in Workflowy. All of our operational documentation and day-to-day jobs were managed in Workflowy, and I loved it. And the only reason we switched, two reasons. One, it didn't have an API, so as we were getting more web orders, we couldn't automatically feed orders into it. And the other reason we switched is that certain people on the team just couldn't interpret black and white text on a screen in a useful manner. They couldn't just like glance at it and know what to do. And that's, I get that, different brains interpret information differently, and it helped switching to Airtable because we could color code stuff better and like have pictures and documentation. This was kind of before Workflow. We could even have pictures and files in it. And I kind of regret making that decision for such a big switch on for the sake of, one or two people on the team who couldn't interpret text effectively.
What did that cost you ultimately?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
God, wow, yeah, huh?
Like, yeah, if I think about just the people who have worked on our Airtable base over the last, I don't even know how long it's been, 5 years. No, less than that, 4 years. In terms of their salaries and how, what percentage of their sort of time they might have put into building and fleshing out and developing our Airtable base. It's like, yeah, 6 figures for sure.
Right.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I built yet another agent, a sassy, flirtatious, workflowy assistant who can only outputs in workflowy bullet points. So I can copy and paste any response direct into Workflowy and it's formatted beautifully.
Oh my God. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, the things you're describing are like things, I still do these things and maybe I forget to relay them here, but like I would do so many, the most of them were text expander things where like I would sit and try to build some like snippet that would automatically put certain web browser tabs on certain parts of my screen so I could like do something more efficiently, but really I would just spend more time messing with it than I would actually accomplish after I had it. And it would always break. I would like update Fusion or Brave or not Brave, Chrome or Mac update, and then it would break and it'd be like, I'm screwed again. I gotta spend another 2 hours on this. That's Workflowy?
Yeah.
I didn't.
We just were sharing screenshots to each other of our own mess. I'll show you mine.
Mine is. I already showed you mine. I haven't. How did you do that?
Oh, yeah,
maybe it's because you pay for it.
It's just the board function. They've had that Trello board sort of style, Kanban style board for a long time.
Kanban. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just use it as a list.
Yeah, I know.
I do think about constantly how much it. I'm sure other things had this, but I want it everywhere. I want to be able to make a list, have it nested, have it fold, and rearrange them. That's all I want to like. I want that functionality I went infinite nesting, right? Just
That's
keep
what workflow
dialing
is
in.
for.
I know, I love it. That's what I'm saying. That's my favorite part about it. I just I want that. It's on my list of how text should be in AirShop because it's really not complicated as far as I understand. It just I think it gets forgotten or like it just doesn't seem important to some people. Maybe some people don't like it, but I love it.
Infinitely tabbable, indented bullet points, each one with a unique URL that you can link to within the document or externally. It's God gets me excited. Daddy's
I'd go
excited.
Daddy again, but we've kind of overused it.
No more Daddy. Yeah, it's weird. What were we talking about?
It's so hot and bothered. Workflowy. Yeah, that was kind of it. Workflowy.
Blur, error. Oh, Gemini. That's right. Gemini. The Google models, which have been terrible up until this point, have suddenly seemed decent all of a sudden, and I've been daily driving them.
Where at? How so?
They're just, I don't know, smoother, better, faster. Not at everything, but my sassy, flirtatious workflowy agent is set to Gemini most of the time, and yeah, I'm impressed. New Google.
So it's mostly
models.
It's not like coding. It's answers,
everything,
emails,
whatever I throw at it. Yeah, no, I don't.
Really?
I still don't like how it writes emails. I find myself switching back to GPT-4o for email writing. I think that tune is just what my prompting works best for some reason. But everything else, I don't know. Pretty impressive, fast.
Question is, which of the 4 or 5 Geminis are you using? Because I find it very confusing how many there are.
If I'm doing work, I'll use Gemini 1.5 Pro, 2 million context, and if I'm just mucking around with sassy, inappropriate agents, I'll use the Pro Experimental or Flashlight. Or Flash, whatever. There are too many of them.
Interesting.
It's hilarious.
Right. Now they have like dates too, which is like, it feels like all these companies, especially these Gemini, are just doing the thing like I know everybody did in design school, which is like final. No, final. No,
Final.
Put a date at the end. No, shit. Like, which final was it? I don't know. I've used it. I kept seeing all the rave reviews of Gemini, and then I've used it in Sim Theory. I tried to use it in Cursor. I would say in Cursor early on when 1.5 came out, it was decent. And then I've tried the 2.0, and it just gave me it's just really bad. Like it wasn't, I keep having to go back to Claude 3.5 because nothing else really will give me anything usable in Cursor for coding, but I still use Claude pretty often, which it feels like you just have that feeling of like, oh man, isn't there something better? And then you try it and keep coming back. So interesting that you've had such success.
Something that strikes me about AirShop when I log into it is how fast it is switching between the different modes on the left, like the different
It's interesting.
pages.
I was wondering if it was how the speed was for you, because
seems great.
I mean, we will have it's on AWS, so it will have actually like local to you. There's like an actual New Zealand, Australia, what do you call it? Server location for AWS. You just basically have to like flip switches. So it's always funny to me, like you have problems with what is it, Vectorworks?
VividWorks, yeah.
Being fast, and it's like VividWorks is called the wrong thing. They just have to check a box, and it'll if they're using AWS, it should just be pretty easy. But
wow, yeah,
anyway.
okay, they're cool.
Yeah. That's good. It's good. I'm always in weird stages of using it with like local development, so it's like not always fast for me. So it's hard to tell until somebody else tries it out.
Oh yeah, totally. No, seems pretty responsive. Pretty
Good. I
cool.
think we're still using some development server stuff, so I don't even think it's like as fast as it can be.
Uh,
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Where are we at?
When?
Too many pages.
when AirShop goes live and I actually legitimately try and use it, I mean, it is live. I'm using it now, but like, there's going to be so many random things in there, like suppliers called like Your Mama and things that I'm just going to have to like delete out, clean up
Yes.
from all my like random little testing experiments.
Right. Have you played with the cards at all?
No, I haven't seen the
Get
charts.
those.
Where do they live?
They're in development version now.
Cool.
Just Kanban card editor. Brady spent a decent amount of time making a way to make your own. I mean, you can call them Kanban cards, but there's also like, it's just you create sizes and then you can drag items on. It's like hopefully it's a better version of Page Designer, which Airtable had. And currently we only have a few items you can drag into that. And it still has some bugs. We're trying to kind of work it all out, but there will be some working templates that you don't have to like edit yourself. And yeah, mine's kind of stuck in between a few schema changes, but the thing I created in mine, that in my little development one, is I just been using chickens as my like the item that I put in a lot of quotes and stuff to test. So I have like a photo of some chickens and their units are clucks.
Awesome.
Pretty entertaining for me. Got to keep it spicy. Oh, the thing I think it'll get put in here shortly, but the thing I was working on last was doing like keyboard shortcuts, because I love
cool.
keyboard shortcuts. And it's actually
Me too.
pretty easy to do, to like hotkey to go to certain pages or to search or opening the sidebar, create a quote. So those are crazy fast too, which is fun.
It's always been,
I'm surprised
in terms of functionality,
in terms of like how quickly the pages load. I'm sure it's like caching the pages you've already loaded. So that's nice, but it's like stuff that I love in other apps. I'm like, ooh, I'd love to put in shortcuts, and it's like amazingly Cursor is like super good at that kind of stuff. Like some things like that was really easy to do for me.
that's cool. That's always been on my hiring job interview list as a question is, how do you feel about keyboard shortcuts? Tell me.
Really?
Do you use them? Oh, you don't? Okay, leave now, please. Thank you. Goodbye.
Please get out. Do you like lists? What about folding lists?
How do you feel about indented tabs? Linda, do you use indented tabs?
Why did you get such a deep voice, sir? We were just talking about lists. We have a little, let's see here. Oop, I clicked the wrong one. We're going to cut this out. As of last week, we have breaking news. It's like right after we recorded. Toolpath, the startup, which we haven't talked about much, but we probably should. Pretty cool. DFM and quoting tool for CNC parts. Bought Chatter, which is also a cool tool that we've talked about here quite a bit, where Chatter started by Pete. And I think the best way to describe it's like a little dongle that originally it was a dongle thing, like an Arduino, I believe, or Raspberry Pi you would plug into your CNC, which would be connected to your network, and it would let you monitor your CNC machines. And he's kind of expanded that He's made like the little sync tool we use for VS Code, so we can send files to our unnetworked YCM mill otherwise, and he just kind of made that free for everybody. So I don't know the full details. It's on. I put a link to it, but I kind of heard it was happening, and then don't know the full details other than I know that like Al's goal, Al, the CEO of Toolpath, is to kind of flip the industry of CAM and CNC on its head, and to do that, I guess Chatter is a good path for them to be able to connect to machines in a different way. So you can imagine what maybe some of their plans are, rather than just being a quoting tool. That was always known. Like Toolpath didn't want to just, that was just a way into the market, right? To offer something to customers, where I think they have bigger plans than that alone, obviously.
Yeah, and Al Watmo being the Fusion guy, right?
Yep. He was early, if not on the first team that started Fusion, and he popularized HSM Works through videos, which I was never a user of, but I've heard a lot about how that was the kind of precursor to the idea of Fusion, maybe, or just like a good CAM tool, programming tool. I think is still around potentially. That was all before my time.
Fusion absorbed it, I believe. HSM Works, I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but
that sounds right. And then Al came and helped start Fusion, and so that Fusion was the first package that was like everything's in one house, right? It's CAM, it's CAD, it's rendering, and so yeah, Al started the customer advisory board, which is kind of how I got pulled into the Fusion help. Not help. How I got pulled in to be a part of Fusion, I guess. I'm also like a creator, basically an influencer kind of thing. But yeah, he's kind of the glue that held a lot of stuff together for a long time. And then he took the CEO job at Toolpath, and has definitely threw some fire on the growth fire. I'm not speaking well. He's thrown some fuel on the growth fire.
Say it again 3 times fast. I really like.
You do it.
When I've heard him talk on podcasts and stuff, I like how he presents, and seems to be good guy, good attitude.
Yeah, definitely.
Can't remember what pod it was on, but there was a great interview that I think you probably shared with. Was he on Dylan's podcast or the other one?
Yep,
he was.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
It's on Dylan's. He's a great leader, and I've always been envious of the way he communicates, both kind of like internally, because I'm on their Fusion Slack, and seeing him in person at different events and stuff, and just everybody seems to kind of unanimously love him. So, yeah, I've had a great relationship with him, and I think I can imagine it has to be a good situation for Pete and Chatter, or I don't know why he would do it otherwise, because it's like a thing he built from scratch, and I can't imagine he wants it to get gobbled up and it disappear. And I don't imagine they're going to do that. On this blog post, that don't talk about it as being something you're just going to lose. So no, you wouldn't lose in any sort of situation. They're going to roll it in and be part of Toolpath.
Yeah, so
a free user
exciting.
Type.
That's cool.
If you haven't played with Toolpath, so I'm reading this kind of live now, introducing the free user type. With the introduction of Chatter, we're also rolling out a few free user type. Administrators of any paid team can invite as many free users as they wish. This brings more of your team into Toolpath. You can upload data, view DFM, which is designed for manufacturing. So it's like basically finding weird little issues in models that you wouldn't be able to just kind of see, or like it's like there's blind holes on this part or at a weird angle, and it like kind of highlights those things. It's really quite good. I've had a decent amount of time playing around with their tool, and it's pretty good. I like it a lot. It's not as useful for router parts, so seems like that might be someday something they'll add, but currently it's like very mill-centric parts,
Yeah, makes sense.
3-axis, maybe 5-axis parts too.
Job shops.
Yes. Oh,
These are all cool. Cool. That's the wonderful world of PDX.
it's pretty good. Like I said, we've been pretty catching up busy. We had such a great January that like some of the jobs, we're still finishing from January, which a lot of other stuff we've done, I guess, has been pretty quick turnaround within a couple weeks usually, and some of these are 3 or 4 weeks out. So we're just kind of finishing a bigger sign job that's due tomorrow. So that's happening now. And then the big other thing I've been working on, and we've needed to do this for a long time, is this is a partial, I think is the first one I printed, but we've been redesigning and replacing the bottom plate of our dust boots. The kind of backstory is I had custom strip brush made kind of from the beginning. So it's a custom length, which we needed to be longer. All the stuff on the market kind of maxes out at 3 inches, and ours was 3.4. It was a bit of a nightmare to get made. The company we had make it is in America. The first time we ordered it, it was like, I think it was supposed to be not 8 to 9 weeks, and we had pre-orders and stuff from people waiting on this early in the dust boot phase, and they just were like a month late or something ridiculous, and like wouldn't return any of my emails or calls. And so we had, understandably unhappy people. I mean, let's just say that's in the past now. The second order was a little bit better. I was really hesitant to make a new order, but we tried to do it earlier than we needed. And this is all the same brush that we've had issues with it deforming. So in trying to replace it, we've tested out samples from all over. And so now we think we have a new brush that we've been testing. It seems to work great. The challenge is always the thickness of the bristles and how stiff it is versus, well, there's a limit to how stiff it can be, or you can actually like damage your material at some point, like if you have a softer material, but versus how much air force you're pulling through it and if it'll bend up inside. So there's this balancing act to kind of get it just right. And so we don't want a custom brush, ideally. I think I found a new source, hopefully, as well as we've almost, I think everything we've made to this point has been from sheet HDPE. So that has its own issues, as well as like part of the problem with the brush is it pulls out of the plates that we put it into. So we've done all these different things with, specific hot glues that are made for it, which don't seem to work. We've tried air nailing it in, pin nailing. That doesn't seem to keep them in. So understandably, we have people that are frustrated with that when that happens. So I've come up with a new system that uses these sheet metal inserts and screws and 3D printed plates. And so far in our testing, it is an all-around improvement, which is amazing. It's easier to install. They're also user repairable, which is a huge goal of mine, that you don't throw away a bunch of it. It's like, hopefully if you need a new brush, you can just replace the brush. All of this is still in testing, but it's been a couple weeks coming, but yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool.
Exciting finally to get to
It's a nice looking part.
Yeah. This is the first one I did, and it's surprisingly, there's no real downsides. There's a couple of things I just have to change in terms of like placements of screws, and we're on maybe like the third version of it this week, which is like the best part about being able to make stuff with printers is I ordered these kind of like Sen parts that go on the inside to kind of hold the brush in. And so as long as I don't haven't needed to change that about it. We just keep changing different aspects. Like, oh, what if it's shaped this way or it's taller? It's just like, 2 more hours and I got a new one. Like, pretty wild.
So good. Wish we had Send Cut Send here. I've got parts that I'm making at the moment that would just be perfect to just
I know.
fang out to a service like that.
What's funny is now I'm to this point where I'm like, I need them faster. I need them like tomorrow. I'm like, it used to be weeks, before the Send Cut Sends of the world. And now like less than a week, I'm like, fast enough. I need them faster. So I actually bought some little sheets of aluminum, which haven't had to break into yet, just in case I need to quick bang some little pieces out on the router.
Nice.
Don't really want to do it that way though.
Sick. That's good. Nice to see some further iteration on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think the other thing that's exciting to me about it is we have wanted forever to make a more focused bottom plate. So it's like more concentric around the spindle.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's, now that I have this new method, like, I think it's going to come pretty soon here. Like, I just got to kind of figure out how small I can make the opening and still tool change and all that kind of stuff without issues. And yeah, it's a pretty big change for us. We've made them the same way, other than trying to improve tiny aspects that never seem to. It's one of my embarrassments of that product is just never really made the brush what I wanted it to be or what it should be.
Cool. Nice one.
Yeah. But yeah, anything new, changed?
Product side. No, nothing new-ish product-y. Just trying to bash out orders. So just kind of hustle fatigue. Just like really felt it this week. Just like, again, every week. More?
Yep.
Do I have to sell more? I'm a bit bored by that. I knew I'd be bored by this process. I knew, like, post downsize last year that the next 1 to 2 years were going to be a slog, and that I'd have to be just disciplined and focused. And sure enough, it's like not even a year out, and I'm already like, come on, no, don't want to do another week of making sure there's 20K, or it's up. The revenue target's a bit higher now with the rejig and the PF spreadsheet. So yeah, feeling that fatigue for sure. Sort of like looking.
Is there a plan for it to change, or are you just kind of, that's what it's going to be?
We'd have to make some pretty extreme changes to expenditure for it to be significantly different. Like, we'd have to probably sell the workshop and downsize significantly into, like
big.
if we moved into a shed at home, 100 square meter shed at home or something, then that would be a big enough thing to be like significantly change that revenue target, but it would have to be pretty major. So yeah, I think this is the size we are for now, for sure. I just got to keep pushing along and get over it. Try and sell some more products.
I definitely have that same. I'm sure a lot of us do that. Like, yeah, hustle fatigue is a good way to say it. But yeah, I mean, it's just, we talked about it at the start of the show. It's like the emails, it's just all these things that you can't, like, it feels like you should be able to change. Or I think about, like, I feel like Pearson is like the golden goose, or like the perfect example of, like, I remember that video Saunders did, like, the first time he went to see him. He's like, yeah, I don't know, how often are you stressed a year? And he's like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times. If I'm stressed, something's really wrong. And it's like, how? how did you get to that? And he tries to explain it, and it's like, well, I hired people, I got rid of those problems that stressed me out, and now we just don't go back. And it's like, well, that's so amazing. And maybe it's just his brain works that way, and I continue to find ways to like pull more things into my world that makes my life stressful again. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer, because like my same, not my same, my version of that's like, I tried that very fast experiment of hiring somebody to help in the office, and well, it wasn't a fit person wise. The relief I had from somebody being the like first to look at emails and interact with customers and do customer support was like so immense, and I should probably try to find that again. I keep thinking there's definitely a good chance that could be a remote position, and a part-time position potentially, but it is a tricky thing. It's like, well, people don't just sometimes contact you; they contact you at all hours of the day, and
Yeah.
so I don't have a good answer for that yet.
Like Laura at one point during the week was asking how the day was or something. I was just like, I resent the fact that my emotional state is so closely linked at the moment just to the company's bank account balance. It's just like, if there's money
Welcome to
in the bank, I am at peace and chirpy and feeling good about it all. And if the bank balance is low or struggling to get to the target by every Monday, then I'm like antsy and checking my emails too much and distracted and not present, less present at home with the kids. And it's just like, I resent that that's a money connection of like, no, I don't want to be that person that just like
no, I do too.
Thinks about that much, but it's just the reality of it at the moment. So
in a lot of ways, it's like, I think you could obviously go work for somebody, and that's the alternative. You can't control. You can control way less in that situation. So you can always get laid off. You can, you can't control your income. You can't make big changes, but there's a paycheck, and you don't have to think about these things. And then the other side is like, I try to remind myself, well, it's like, well, I could be doing like very manual labor that is very taxing and also have a fixed paycheck, instead of sitting in my 73 degree office talking to you on a podcast, and that's my job somehow. Like, it's still pretty good, but it also is very stressful. And I still to this day wouldn't trade all these struggles for those other things, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
not to like undermine what you're saying. It's just I think about those things too.
Yeah, no, it's a good perspective for sure. Yeah.
So I would say at the end here, we've been discussing doing some more like, I don't know how else to say it, but like themed shows where they're not, we try to think about maybe a topic that we're going to kind of cover that might be a little less of the moment and maybe a little more evergreen. And so if you have thoughts, we have a list of things we're going to think about and kind of putting together slowly. That there won't be like big, massive changes, but just a thought I had kind of rolling into this year. So the other thing that I think would be interesting is if we did more like a question show, maybe like once a month. So if you have questions, feel free to use a little question. You can message us or use the little question link in the show notes and send us a message, and we'll try to collect those and kind of do at least part of a show maybe on questions, or just user, listener. My brain is not doing well today, apparently. Take it over. Fix what I'm saying. AI, Jem.
I'll be your agent. I'll be your flirtatious agent today.
Agent Gem.
Wow. Yeah, just send us a question on any of the channels. Justin's keeping the parts department Instagram alive and well. And so ping him there. I'm not currently logged into that account, or you can message me, DM me on Instagram at likebutter.au or through the link in the podcast notes. And that comes magically through into our Airtable, I think. It's cool. And we get a notification there. And so, yeah, just send us feedback, questions, and yeah, it'd be fun to do some more themed shows. I'm sure we'll still prattle around the theme, but yeah, it'd be good to touch on some more focused topics, perhaps.
Sure. I mean, this is going away too. This is how else do we do therapy?
What's going away?
I said this style of just us making a list of things we want to talk about and blabbering on. That's not going away.
That's not going away. No, correcto. Stick around,
especially because I brought up how I had gotten a new therapist. Guess what happened?
What happened?
America happened. First time they go, hey, I tried to bill your insurance and they rejected me. And I was like, I thought you were approved under my insurance. They're like, nope, apparently I'm not, even though I'm approved under a different part of your insurance company. So I still don't have a therapist.
Yeah.
It's happened to me like 3 times. I have a popular insurance plan. It's not some weird little one. So
bloody hell.
That's America.
America. I'm happy to share the agent prompt for Susie, the swearing Scottish therapist. So, I'll hook you up anytime.
I need that.
Let me know.
Sounds intimidating, though.
Susie's on call.
She just I can't do an Scottish accent.
Me neither. I'm not going to try.
All right, we're gonna find out if we can go over an hour. It's an hour 42. And I don't know how this works. It's not in here. It's up here. Yay! Man, I am damn mess today. Woof.